I apologize, guys. We're getting started 20 minutes late because of technical difficulties. There is a new version of NDI tools in OBS, and it broke something. It took us 20 minutes to figure out what it was. So let's go around the room now that everybody can hear us. Jolly, how are you doing this week?
Great.
I'll second that, Shap. Kick him.
Yeah. Jolly, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Jay.
Great. Turing, how are you doing this week?
Thank you. I'm doing fine.
Great. Great. You got the producer and the technical director rolling in the floor over here, guys. Now let's show the producer cam for the new camera.
Blame them.
Hands off the buttons. Hands off the buttons.
Okay. Nom, how are you doing this week?
Oh, I said earlier that having great weather here, but this is just how I feel about what just happened, but that's about it.
Okay. And Josh, how are you doing this evening? How is everything out on the West Coast?
I'm fantastic. We've wasted 20 minutes. I never have anything to say anyway, so this helps me. I'm going to give our opening a 200 emoji. Oh, my God.
Oh, take me home. Oh, and last, but certainly not least, is Soulhawk having to deal with this cluster of people. How are you doing, Soul?
I'm doing good. You know, this cluster kind of reminds me of my college days back doing film, so it's nostalgic.
You know, just little things that bite you in the buttocks. So, okay. With that said, let's go ahead and get started with the actual show. Well, there's one other thing. Let's go back to the producer cam here real quick. Hi. So what you guys may not notice is that we completely rebuilt the studio in the last month on the technical side. Everything's rack mounted now, and it's much less of a mess than it used to be. And even Chapcap, who does this professionally, is drooling just a hair bit. We're getting ready for CitizenCon, putting in some new technology to allow us to do some really cool stuff for CitizenCon. So with that said, Jolly, segment 1 tonight is 3.13.1 and all the wonderful changes.
All right, 13.1 dropped. Thank God for that. There are some issues with it. There are still some bugs. We worked through them like we did all previous patches that have come out of SC, and so be it. One of the best improvements was docking. If I get that first docking slide, just a single slide up there, Jaglin or Sam, please. That's not it.
On computer.
There we go. Okay. The docking collars, just so you know, are a little bit different. I want to, guys, just focus on what it looks like. It's an oval shape, and there's a little, I don't know, thing sticking out from it. That's what I docked with. If you haven't docked yet with a major ship, besides, I recommend you try a hammerhead. The dock collar is just above the pilot's, up and a little bit to the right of the pilot's point of view. It's the easiest thing to try docking first. Do that first. If you want to do something bigger than that, you have to go to third person or try to get things done. But it doesn't work that bad. There's a new Arena Commander, just so folks know. If you're a big AC player, then go ahead and check it out again. The idea is try to give those who really want to straight into PvP play a chance to do something more than what's been going on previously. I have not checked it out myself personally, but I know it's new. I do recommend, if you want to try to improve your skills, give it a shot. Third thing I want to bring up is commodity alerts. A lot of folks don't know about this. It's right there for you. You have to go to the journal is what you want to do. At the very bottom, you're going to find commodity alerts. It'll tell you what is selling at high price or what is overstocked and understocked. Obviously, if it's overstocked, they'll sell it to you for a lower price. If it's understocked, they'll buy it from you for a better price. Right now, I haven't been too impressed with what the commodities are being offered because of the Invictus going on during PTU and now PU. If you want to try to sell or move fireworks, souvenirs, audio equipment, and there's a fourth one out there. Gosh darn, I can't remember what the hell it is. They work out pretty well for you. Now, it's not a massive, it's not like selling drugs. I'm sorry for my Colombian followers. But if you go ahead and you get a C2, you fill it up, so it costs you about $600K to fill a C2 up, a Hercules C2. You'll make about $55K profit. As long as you accept that risk and you have the money to lose in case a dirty 30 shows up, then so be it. But it works out pretty well. The nice ones, if you can do something that runs between, for example, I did a bunch of runs between Laurelville and Everest Harbor. Obviously, a very short, quick run. It worked out well for me, and so I made a few hundred K off the process when I was testing it out. So I'm happy with that one. Stability improvements are there, and to be honest, so far I have not run across a visit by Chris Roberts when I'm playing the game. So I'm happy with that. I played over 3.5 hours in one session. Never had an issue. Others have had that happen. I just can't profess that I have yet. So check it out. I am happy with the improvements. There's a memory bloat. I'm not sure what the heck that really means.
Oh, I'll talk about the memory bloat.
Put it there.
Well, I'd be happy to talk about the memory bloat real quick,
Jay.
because sorry, I lost you there for a second there, Jolly. You faded out on me. I'll talk about the memory bloat because I'm the one that put that in the notes. I've got a fairly decent rig. You know, I'm no slouch when it comes to computers. And today I had to reboot my computer and not let anything load except for Discord and Mumble, and started the game. And when I got into the game and got started, it was 27.6 gigs of RAM usage. And the reason I had to reboot my computer is, even though I have 32 gigs of RAM, I didn't have enough RAM open, or with, because the computer had been running for a few days without a reboot. I know Windows. But I couldn't get the game to open. It kept crashing because it ran out of memory. So 32 gigs is no longer assurance enough in Star Citizen that the game will load no matter what you have open. I'm going to have to go out and buy 32 more gigs of memory, and so I have 64 and don't have to worry about this for a while. So that's why I put the memory bloat in there.
All right, I have to admit, if you go to 64, it's probably going to fix any problems you may have in terms of memory. I haven't run across that yet. I want to point out yet. However, I do shut down almost every program I can, except for Mumbo, which I talk to fellow players with, and the game itself. So I think 2 programs I have running when I play SC with 32 RAM. I haven't had a problem yet, but I think Jay has like 14 versions of Chrome running in the background.
Wow.
I'm not
like
sure.
30 tabs or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, but even when you close, because I closed Chrome because I am guilty of having a lot of tabs, it still would not open. Even with everything closed except for the game, Mumble, and Discord.
Yeah,
So
I will say, Jay, wow. I think this is a very temporary situation. It only really came up with this event. And even with the event going on, while I had the same thing as you, I saw it getting up right at 28 gigs of RAM when I was either around New Babbage or if the fleet was in the station I was at. And that's basically, you got all the fireworks going on and everything else associated with that. And they upped a lot of the graphics and the shading and all that. But the moment I was like in space, in quantum, going between 2 planets, I went back to the usual 20 to 21 gigs of total system usage that I would see. So I think once this event is over and we're no longer loading that stuff, that's largely not going to be a problem. And the long-term solution there is going to be the server meshing and culling anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. But at the end of the day, it took 28 gigs basically to get into the game. And that's ridiculous. And so, even for a temp build, you're going to have on a game that technically lists the minimum specs as 8 gigs. And we've all known that has been out the window. But, you used to think you throw 32 gigs of memory in a system and it's the easy button. Nothing's going to use all that in the gaming world, productivity apps aside. But, now I think for an easy button, you have to have 64 gigs, which is kind of ridiculous. What are your thoughts, Turn?
Well, I went ahead and put in a call to Oak Ridge Lab so I can get that supercomputer connection. But I've got 32 in my rig here. Hopefully, I don't have to go anymore. I will say that I haven't experienced the bloat. In fact, last night when we were playing, it was actually the smoothest and the best graphics I have had in a long time. And I don't know, Nam, if it was just like what you were saying, did they up the capability because of the optimization, for lack of a better term? for the Invictus Week. I know that they did some work on the Carrack in order so it would not pull as much resources. I wonder if they're, doing the same thing. But my advice to most people when they say it, and when we've seen it in chat, we've seen some folks dropping that they've had some issues with it, is just to sit tight right now. There's a lot of resource being used because of the bingo flyby, because of all the other things that are going on. Even though the convention center is static, they still have to put them ships in. I mean, those ships can, you can go up inside of them. It's like having your entire fleet in one little small place. And I would say, go away from Microtech, see if it's happening around Crusader, if it's happening around Area 18. If you're experiencing that, yeah, maybe it's something happening with your machine. But if you're getting, various performance in different spots, most likely it's the Invictus Week event.
Yeah, I just worry because it's a free fly weekend that you have basically 16 gigs is no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to play the game.
Yeah.
Josh, what are your thoughts?
Well, I run a pretty high-end system. I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. I have a 3090. And I have to say that when I went to see the Invictus Week so I could tour the Javelin to talk about it tonight, I saw some lagginess and some bugginess I hadn't seen in any of the other events I'd been at recently. So it feels pretty bad. I remember, what was it, maybe about a year ago, they had a week come up and the servers were just terrible. I do think this is a time for them to shine, so I hope maybe they find a way to get it fixed.
I do as well. And Soulhawk, how let's go ahead and pop your cherry here. What are your thoughts on the memory bloat?
I haven't experienced it personally. I haven't had a whole lot of time to get in game with the most recent patch. I was on for a little bit today. I didn't see any memory bloat. I took the tour of the show hall at New Babbage. I didn't have any issues. That being said, I'm one of those guys who's still running 16 gigabytes of RAM because my computer, needed an upgrade 3-4 years ago at this point. So fingers crossed it stays like that for me.
I'm thinking maybe Jay should get rid of that AMD processor he has.
Oh.
For the record, I tested it on both the Intel and the AMD, so it's not the AMD.
Jay, did you delete your shaders folder?
I did. Deleted the whole user folder.
I have done that. In fact, I keep it going there. I kind of like how it looks.
Jay, I will point out one thing. They have, even though it's kind of a moot point this week, they did already up the recommended specs to 16 plus.
16 plus was like 256 or 16 plus.
16 plus 16 is 32
plus more.
Right.
Yeah. How much you got?
That, as much as we're slamming it, there were numerous bugs that were fixed as opposed to 3.12. However, one of the biggest, I can't call it a bug, I have to call it a feature. I don't like doing that, but it's the truth, is we're still limited to 50 friends in the game itself. That's a big ass disappointment. If they want to change one thing in the game right now as it stands, it's not the bloat, it's not stability, it's not anything else. It's, please God, let us have our friends back. I'm getting very lonely out there.
That would take another 3 gigs of memory.
Jolly, do you mean 50 people limited on the server or 50 people in the friends list?
No, in the friends list. Okay.
Yeah,
you
when you get ready to launch, is what
200, 300, whatever, it doesn't matter. When you go into the game itself and you try to form a party, you are limited to 50 people. And so what's going to happen is you have to, if you play with people who aren't on that magic 50 list, you've got to make room for them. So delete some old friends and add these folks back in. And now once you get those going, you're fine. Get below 50, you can actually get above 50 by adding more. It's a weird quirk on the whole thing. But for example, if I had 50 in there, I drop myself down to 40, I could add 12. It's not a big deal. So I'm above 50, I'm at 52 now. I can play the game with that party members. When I leave the game, when I come back in, I'm back down to 50.
And it's a random 50 too off your Spectrum list.
It's not like you're
it's not the same. It's not the same 50.
Yep.
That's what makes it such a pain in the patootie.
I ran an op today, and I had the same problem. Folks I've been friends with forever in this organization. I had to kick folks out, try to add new folks in who I've been friends with for 3 years or more to get the party formed. So They really need to fix that one major ass problem.
It's okay if you don't love me anymore, Jolly.
Josh, I kicked you. Just so
Josh,
you know.
you were the first one to go.
Okay.
Theos writes that new concierge perk is larger friends list
I
limit.
think that's a joke.
He was
He's
being
being
Theos,
joke.
is that game or Spectrum?
I think he's playing on the joke we made about you have to donate more if you want to hear us tonight. So
Each pledge brings in another co-host.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay.